Okay, so next one is what? Proposition logic. Now, what is proposition logic? Proposition logic is, it is fundamentally, it is including all the logic. What are the things we have to remember for this? First thing, proposition are sentences. We all know propositions are sentences, but the sentence should have a truth value, either true or false, but not both. Sentence is the smallest unit in the proposition logic. So in proposition logic, we can say sentence is what? Sentence is the smallest unit. If proposition is true, then the truth value is true, else it is false. So we all know what the proposition means. Example, let's take an example. If we have a sentence, grass is green. So the truth value is true. And the proposition is what? Proposition is yes, or proposition is true. So that is what we have in the concept of proposition logic. So that is what the logic defines in this context. Now, statements, variables and operators. Let's understand what are the statements, what are operators, and what are the variables. What are statements? There are two types of statements basically. One is called as the simple statement, the first one, and the second one is called as the compound statement. Now, what are these simple statement and compound statement? Whenever we have a part of statement or multiple statements, two or more simple statements are composed together, they are called as compound statements. See, a compound statement is one that has two or more simple statements as part called components. So that particular is called as component statement. But if we have just a single statement that does not contain any other part, so that particular is called as a simple statement. So these are the two types of statements, simple statement and compound statement. Next one, we have the operator or the connectives. What are these operators? Operators are also known as the connectives. The joins simple statements into compounds and joins compounds into larger compounds are called operators. Example, if I say that it is just working in the same way of operators such as P conjunction Q. So conjunction is what? Conjunction is the join. Conjunction is the operator or the connective between the two, that is P and Q. Okay. Now moving further, there are symbols for connectives. There are a number of connectives we have in this. What are these? These are, first is the assertion. Let's understand all these. First one is the assertion. Assertion is what? Assertion is simple without any symbol. That is, if P is there, this means assertion. That means the value of P is true. P is true. If we say negation, negation means this symbol and P. That means not. In simple form, we call it as not. In discrete, you must have understood or you must have seen this particular two symbols. Not for P, for negation. So that is what, but here we are using what? Here we are using the negation sign in this way and P. So that means what? Negation P is not true. When P is not true, that means P is false. Okay. Next one is conjunction. Now what is this conjunction? Conjunction is working in the same way as and. How we denote it? We denote it with the help of this symbol and. So it is like P and Q or P conjunction Q. Both P and Q are true. Next one is disjunction. Disjunction is the one which is working as the same way as or. P disjunction, this is the symbol for disjunction. Q, that means what? Either P is true or Q is true, or both are true. So that is what or operator works in this way. So P disjunction Q. Next one is implication. Now what is this implication? Implication is if then. That means if P is so, if P is true, then Q is true. That means P implies Q. That means if P is true, then Q is going to be true. This implies what? P implies Q. So this is how the arrow sign is shown for the connective or the operator to be symbolized. So this is what this is called as implication. Now next one is equivalence. Equivalence is formed in this way. The arrow with both sides, that is if and only if. That means P and Q are either both true or both false. Only then they will be equal. So if P equivalence Q, that means either P and Q are both true or P and Q are both false. Only then they will be equal. They will not be equal if P is true and Q is false, or vice versa. So these are the symbols we are going to work on with. So what are these? Just a revision: assertion, negation, conjunction, disjunction, implication, and the equivalence. I have taken this just to make you understand and to relate it with the operators we have done in the earlier sessions. Okay. Now moving further, what does truth value means? See, the truth value of a statement, if it's truth or falsity, that means we have to understand if there is a statement, then that particular statement is true, then that particular has the truth value as true, or if the statement is false, that means it has the truth value as false. It can also be stated with 1 or 0. So 1 is equivalent to true, that means tree, and 0 is equivalent to false, that is F, can be shown in this way. Now P is either true or false. Negation P is either true or false. P disjunction Q is either true or false, and so on. So this is how what we do is we define the truth value of the statements, and they are very necessary. And if a statement has a truth value either true or false, not both, then that particular is called as the proposition. So remember that. Now how we are going to define the truth values? Let's see. We have taken a truth table. We have P and Q. We have P and Q. Now in this, let's see. P has the value true, true, false, false. Q has true, false, true, false. Now we are going to find out the negation P. This is the sign for negation P. How is this? P. That means negation P will be not P. That means if P is true, then it will be false. Not true means false. So negation P will be what? If this is P is true, it will be false. If this is true, again it will be false. If this is false, it is going to be true. And if it is false, it is going to be again true. So this is how negation works. That means not P. So P is true, not true, that means false, and not false, that means true. Similar way में हम work करेंगे for negation Q. So what is this negation Q? True, it will be false. Same concept. True, it will be, sorry, this is the one. Q is true, we are going to get the false. If this is false, we are going to get the true. If this is true, we are going to get the false. Not true, that means false, and not false means true. So this is what we get for negation P and negation Q. Now moving further, we have this particular called as what? We call it as conjunction. This is conjunction. This is negation. This is also negation. This is negation P, this is negation Q, and this is conjunction. Conjunction stands for or work in the same way as the AND operator. AND operator. How it works, let's see. So what we are going to do, P and Q, P conjunction Q. So P conjunction Q will be true, true will be true. We all know this. True, false, that means either true or false, not done. Either both should be false or both should be true. So true, false, what is this? False, false, true, false, and false, false, false. That means we have only this particular as the AND operation or the conjunction. Now next one is the disjunction. Disjunction is for the or, as I have told you in the earlier slide. How it works? Let's see here. In this, if either of this is true, we get true, right? So here both are true, we get true. Either of it, P is true, Q is false, we get true. Either of it is true, yes, we get true. None of it is true, we get false. Now we have P implies Q. Before P implies Q, let me tell you equivalence. That is P equivalence Q. So P equivalence Q, both should be true or both should be false. So true, true, we get true. This is equivalence. True, false, we get false. False, true, we get false. And both are true. Sorry, both are false, we get true. So this is what equivalence is. Now next one is implies. Implies, for implies we have this particular formula which you should remember. Okay, what is this? If P implies Q, that means we have to find out what negation P and disjunction with Q. That means I'm going to take negation P, this one, and with conjunction to Q. Okay, so how it will be? P negation is false, Q is true. What will be the conjunction? Either one should be true, so it is what? True. Next one, negation P is false and Q is false, both are false, that means it will be false. Okay, we are looking for this one. Next, negation P is true, Q is also true, both are true, that means it is true. Negation P is true, Q is false. What will be the disjunction? One of it is true, so it is also true. So this is how we are going to find the P implication Q as negation P disjunction with Q. So this is how. In similar way, we can find the Q implies P, right? So that is what we are going to find out the truth table. Now see, we have two things. Whenever we have all the interpretations recording as true, it is called as tautology. And whenever we have all the interpretations as false, it is called as contradiction. That means whenever all the truth values are true for all the recordings, we call it as tautology. And whenever it is false for all the interpretations, it is called as contradiction. Now in this, none of this is contradiction and none of this is tautology. Okay. Now we have seen what is tautology. A tautology is proposition formed by combining other propositions PQR, which is true regardless of truth or falsehood of PQR. So we have this particular important tautology. This I have also already told you, as P implies Q is what? It is equivalent to, this is the equivalent signs, negation P disjunction Q. This we have already formulated. Okay, we have already seen. And this we can find out as in this manner. And then we can find out that these are what? These are being called as the proof of tautology. Right, so this is being calculated in the same way as we have done it in earlier. So that's all. That is called as tautology. Thank you very much.